Arizona Science is supported by Research Corporation for Science Advancement.
For AZPM, I'm Tim Swindle, Professor Emeritus of Planetary Science at the University of Arizona, and this is Arizona Science. Joining me today is Janko Nikolic, the head of the Department of Immunology at the University of Arizona College of Medicine, Tucson, and leader of the Arizona portion of a large study on the effects of long COVID. Welcome back, Janko.
Thank you, Tim.
The global health emergency caused by COVID-19 is officially over, but the disease isn't gone, and more than that, there's still people suffering from the effects of earlier infection. And you're leading this study. Could you tell us a little about what the project is?
The project is the largest investment that the U.S. government has ever made, or that we have made nationally, into a chronic condition of any kind, from a single shot. It was, $1.15 billion that were appropriated to study the disease that we know very little about, that is disabling a lot of people, that is making a lot of people miserable, that is really a pandemic after a pandemic. The goals of the study were always to observe, collect, and hopefully understand the mechanisms through that part. So the main study that we are doing here is what we call the longitudinal observational study. We enroll people that are suffering from long COVID. We track them. We do a number of, clinical, biological specimen investigations and try to understand these trajectories.
What have you learned so far? Is a clearer picture of long COVID developing?
The clear picture is that it's an extremely complex disease. It's almost something that, the physicians, when you come up with a complaint, this is something that the physicians call a symptom. If you have a collection of symptoms, that is something that you call a syndrome. And so long COVID has in the beginning been described as a syndrome, which is like something that we don't understand enough, but you can at least classify it based on a collection of symptoms. It seems that long COVID is going to be a syndrome of syndromes. In other words, that there will be different clusters of people that have long COVID, and that in different people, it's, coming out with different sets of problems.
Do the effects of long COVID seem to depend on what version of COVID people got? In other words, are people who are getting COVID now still getting the same long COVID symptoms as frequently?
Largely, the variants, as far as we can tell, the variants do not seem to have really changed the very diverse picture of what all people can come down as long COVID. What we know and what we have seen is that certainly the original ancestral strain, as we call it, which was the Wuhan strain, or wherever it landed, the nearest cousin, as all the way up to Delta, were causing long COVID with a higher frequency than Omicron, for example.
Do the vaccines and the medicines that have been used to treat COVID now, does that seem to make a difference?
It does. So that data is out and present. So from the RECOVER study, the RECOVER study is this is an acronym for our national study, has almost done. It's almost done with the enrollment. It's like 17,000 adults that are enrolled into that group. And from those groups, we very clearly are seeing that the vaccination has reduced the frequency and also the severity of symptoms in those who are vaccinated and have long COVID. So,
are you still enrolling people in the study?
I think we're just at the tail end. There's still a little bit more room for the rural and underrepresented groups. This study is going to be overweight in those groups of rural and underrepresented groups, because they were also the ones bearing the brunt of acute COVID, and they also come down more frequently with long COVID. So there's a little bit more room. I think we're probably down to a couple of hundred remaining. But we are at the point where, as a society, we're tired of COVID, we're tired of long COVID, and the challenge is advocating now for funding to keep studying the disease that has, not only huge health and human costs, but realistically, the economic cost and the national security cost are enormous, and we need to deal with it.
Well, good luck with it all.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
Our guest today has been Janko Nikolic, who is one of the directors of a large study on long COVID. This is Tim Swindle, and you have been listening to Arizona Science. You can also listen to this and other Arizona Science segments by going to the AZPM website at azpm.org.
Thank you to Research Corporation for Science Advancement for their support of Arizona Science.